DSA frauds got missed and exposed. Okay, yeah, let me go through that. Here we go.
Your family came here from Peru, really in the middle of the heat of the Shining Path. They were together. Your family came here from Peru, really in the middle of the heat of the Shining Path. They were Maoist communist guerrillas in Peru. So why did your family come to America?
The economic situation in South America and in Peru was in a really bad place. But I think that much of what we could say is responsible for that actually was the imposition of capitalism and American...
Why? Because you guys would be doing human sacrifices? Like, I mean, like, whenever the Spaniards came over, people in South America were cutting each other up and rolling the bodies down the temple steps. Like, it's not like everything was a fucking, you know, rainbows and butterflies before this. Like, really, what are we doing here? Like, the entire concept, because this is what these people do. They invent this idea that it's Westernism and colonialism and capitalism that, no, actually, the only reason why these people aren't doing human sacrifices still is because the fucking Spanish came over there and stopped it from happening. They're rewriting history. Holy fuck.
Imperialism, in many cases, is actually what brings immigrants.
The Aztecs were hated so badly that other groups teamed up with the Spanish to get rid of them. You want to talk about imperialism? They were fucking imperial themselves. What are we even doing? To the U.S. outside, coming out of Latin America. And
so they come here because they don't like the imposition of American imperialism in the country that they're in?
Yes, in many countries.
So they come here.
We hate America, so we're going to go to America.
Here.
In many countries, you know, there have been undemocratic coups that have destabilized countries, and that's pushed people out.
Oh, well, you would think they would want to go somewhere that wasn't imposing that on them if that were the case. But, you know, it's interesting.
Yeah, every single place that has a problem, it's because of America. Gustavo Grillo lives in a this is the guy, lives in a 1.5 million New York City residence paid for by his millionaire parents. Isn't it crazy how it's every single time? Like, it's one thing if it was once or twice, but it's like every single time. How does this keep happening? Oh my god. Dude looks like a time traveler? He does. Yeah, let me see here. And New York City DSA co-chair currently lives in a townhouse his parents bought for him. You cannot make more of a ridiculous story up. Well, a lot of these people, again, like, it is just anti-Western. Let me get this straight. Went to Yale for sculpture. So he went to Yale for sculpture. He never had a real job. He had his dad pay his rent. He had a failed electrician apprenticeship. And now he lives in a $1.5 million house. And these are the people that want to change the country and make it better.
Has become such a playground for the rich that young people, they feel like they can't live here.
With one...
New York City has become such a playground for the rich.
Like...
that young people, they feel like they can't live here.
With one exception, of course, when your parents give you a $1.5 million renovated house in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. That's what Gustavo Gordillo thinks, the 38-year-old co-chair of the New York City Democratic Socialists of America, and he's allies with Mamdani. Gordillo's neighbors tell the Post that the guy who proclaims tax the rich is rarely seen on his gentrifying Bed-Stuy block.
After some people have renovated or fixed up their houses, that makes it not easy for the normal New Yorker to be able to live in this neighborhood.
Ferrari's 59 years old and lives with a roommate. Why? She says she's getting priced off her block by people like Gordillo.
We hate colonialism. So we're gonna go colonize New York. Yeah, fucking, it's like America that's causing all these problems, so we're gonna go and price out a bunch of Native Americans, like not, you know, Indian Americans, but just, you know, people that are natively in America. You know, we're gonna come price them out of their houses. Are politicians just LARPing? It's so embarrassing, man.
I think it's really counter everything that he's supposed to represent.
Gordillo often touts his blue-collar union electrician work to be
Union electrician.
relatable.
I grew up on this block.
This is Daryl, another one of Gordillo's
Oh no.
neighbors. He tells me the construction, including this rooftop, is the least bit relatable to the character
Dude.
of the neighborhood.
I've never seen them. I've seen when they were doing the house. They had somebody sitting out here like for hours every day watching the construction.
So what is Gustavo Gordillo really standing up for? Affordability? His neighbors say he can start by stopping the fancy construction that's jacking up their rent.
A little bit like shame on you for kind of going against what you were supposed to be saying to others.
Just go back to Peru, man. Go back, fix your own shit. Fix your, like, I don't want to import Peruvian conflicts into America. Like, I don't have a problem with gentrification, by the way. I really don't. But I want it to be done by Americans. I do. I don't want foreign nationals coming into America, gentrifying, and putting actual real Americans out of their house so they can go and preach about their fucking communist ideology. What's wrong with Peru? I don't know. Like, I have no idea. Ask him. That's why they're the ones that left, not me. Yeah, let me see here. Holy fuck. Union electrician, and now as a Brooklyn row houses bought for them by their parents. A union electrician. What a fucking LARP. Oh my god, his dad's house in Florida is renting for $11,000 a month. $11,000 a month. That is fucking ridiculous. That is so expensive. Oh my god. 11,000 a month, 51 photos. Oh man. Well, I mean, you just look at this, right? I mean, this is in Florida. It's right off of a canal here. I mean, this is just like, this is your idyllic Florida house, right? And yeah, not a surprise. They have $500,000 in student let personally. Oh, here we go. There's another one.
Your policy agenda on law enforcement is to defund police, ultimately to get rid. Your policy agenda on law enforcement is to defund police, ultimately to get rid of police departments, correct?
Well, what I would say is that we're dramatically overspending on police right now.
I understand.
Why? And you know what? You're right. Let's say we wouldn't need to overspend if you just kept the criminals in jail. We could have a conversation about this, but here's the problem, is that it's like it's like a fishing. It's like, okay, you're going to go and catch a trout, and it's like, all right, well, we already got this one. Throw him back in the water. We'll catch him next week, too. Holy fuck. Just keep him in jail. You wouldn't need as many fucking police.
The goal is to defund the police department so we don't need them in the future.
I think it's what we really want to see is a horizon where folks are not reliant on armed enforcement to meet our public safety needs.
Women just have no concept of fucking the way it is. They really just don't get it. Like, they just don't fucking get it. Like, it's embarrassing. How does it, no concept, self-preservation? Yes, it's like, there's no, like, how did somebody, like, wasn't a person like this supposed to be naturally selected, like, 3 million years ago? How do we still have these spawning now?
Right, but it says defund police on the website. That's your goal. And also to get rid of prisons and jails, correct?
Yes.
So if my daughter is assaulted and raped, is there any agency that would seek to find her assailant and bring him to justice?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
What
absolutely.
would it be if not police, and where would he be if not a jail?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Now you're going to have to explain it. Let me guess. Platitudes.
So, I guess I really want to avoid getting kind of caught into.
I want to avoid okay, so I don't listen. All right. So you're trying to get me to explain myself? Let me just stop you right there. Okay. All right, let's move on.
These hypotheticals and talk more about the reality.
It's a hypothetical. Nobody ever gets assaulted. This doesn't happen. This is a hypothetical. Like, there's no, like, it's a hypothetical.
That we're actually facing right now, which is that we're spending absolutely outrageous amounts of money on police and policing, and we're not spending money on things that actually make people safe and feel safe.
Do you know what the really big problem I have with these people are? Is that they're 20% right. It's kind of like how I said that I don't want the child molesters to go to prison. And they also don't want them to go to prison. We agree on this one part, but it's how do you it's the other part of it that really matters a lot, right? So she's right that we spend an inordinate amount of money on fucking policing, on jails, on judge systems, on, you know, court systems, etc. But why is that? It's because we don't keep the criminals in jail. It's because we don't put the people that cause problems behind bars. Everybody has to live in a minimum security prison where everything's locked behind plexiglass cases. You've got flock cameras everywhere. Your camera in your car is recording you to make sure that you're not drunk. And we're living in this dystopia because we don't want to put some people in a minimum security prison. So we all have to live in one by just society standards. That's the issue. So, like, I agree we're probably spending too much on policing, but the way that we solve that problem is by putting the people that need to be policed in jail indefinitely. That's how you do that. You're completely wrong. Who's this Connor? What is this? You know what, Connor? You're going to get permanently banned. You're just typing, like, this isn't an argument Arkham City for these people. No, I'm talking about a shoplifter. I don't want to hear that I'm wrong constantly. I'm fine hearing an argument. I'm fine hearing a different point of view, but I don't want to just simply be told wrong. That's all. Express yourself in a way that's something that I can work with. I don't want to have to, like, you know, bait this out of you what your opinion is. Just wasting my time. You must be 12. It's been long enough. You've been so kind to chat. It's been 2 hours. 2 hours I haven't banned anybody. Well, good mood's over from the break. Looks like I'm going to have to go on break for another two weeks. Maybe I should I just say the N-word? Did I just say it? Just rip it. Just take a break again.
Which is things like actually well-lit streets. The streetlights in Los Angeles, everybody agrees it's a huge problem.
Why are the well-lit streets a problem? Well, it's because of what's in the darkness. Why don't you deal with that? Why don't you think, like, these people, they have no concept of any second-order effects at all. Like, we're actually being ruled and governed by retards. Everybody's retarded. Have you noticed this? Everybody's either a scammer, retarded, a pedophile, a rapist, there's probably one more. There's like one more, right? I was going to say gay, but like gay, it's not really a bad. I think gay's not really bad, right? Yeah, terrorist, right? Terrorist. Like, what are we doing?
Things like mental health care and substance use.
Mental health care? They just have no concept.
Substance use treatment. So things that drive people to commit crimes and to...
You think that people commit crimes because they're mentally ill? Bro, I stole that shit because it was free. Like, it's just so sad. It is so sad to see this. They're not going to stop. I know.
That make our society less safe. We're not doing anything about the root causes, and instead we're funneling money into the so the whole concept that poverty creates crime, this is another 20% true situation.
It's actually more than that. It's like 40% true, maybe 20 to 40% true. It's undeniable that people that make less money commit more crime. But I would also argue that this could be a chicken and the egg situation, where a lot of people are poor because they have poor judgment skills and bad decision-making skills and lack of forward thinking, and that causes them to commit crimes, which means that they can't get a job because they're poor, and so they're in this little cycle, right? And so, like, really, it's, you know, these are kind of one and the same, but not always. However, you can't explain that. You can look at racial differences with different, like, for example, you know, you can look at a poor white person versus a rich black person who's committing more crime. It's not socioeconomic in every circumstance. And if you think that's extreme, look at men and women. Men commit disproportionately more crime than women by like 100 to 1, if not 1,000 to 1. It's clearly not all socioeconomic. It's clearly not all systemic. Obviously. Unholy, thanks to the subs. Guys, by the way, I know I'm back today. I took a little bit of vacation. You don't need to reward me from taking a vacation, okay? I don't need anybody's subs. I don't need anybody's money. I'm completely self-funded. I'm set for life. I'm totally fine. Take your money. Buy yourself something nice. If you want to support the stream, I appreciate it. Never feel like you have to sub. Never feel like you have to do anything. Just watching is more than enough. I don't need any subs. That's why I don't have any badges or anything like that. I might do one day, but, you know, I don't really give a shit. Don't worry about it, guys.
The police.
Abdul al-Sayed's victory in the Democratic primary in the Senate in Michigan. Of the 15...
Well, Abdul's a really great speaker. He's charismatic. I think he's a terrorist supporter and he should be deported. But I can reckon it's the same as, you know, the guy that ran Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah. What a great speaker. What a charismatic guy. Even Osama bin Laden, you listen to him talk, and this is an educated man. Like, he knows what he's saying. He's a good candidate.
Counties where a majority do not have a college degree, he lost every one of them. Over 15. In the counties with high education, like you, he won. So how can you say you're for the working class when working class counties in Detroit and elsewhere voted against your candidate?
I think what we're seeing is that
the working class don't know what they want, and we have to tell them what they want. And what they want, actually, is a person that runs defense for Islamic terrorism and that wants open borders. That's what the working class really needs.
people who are highly educated in this country were promised this path of economic success.
Oh, I'm so glad she's saying this. This is a totally mask-off situation. I'm so glad.
If you,
Listen
you know,
to this.
if you
I want to take it back 5 seconds just so you guys can get the entire premise of this.
Country were promised this path of
3,000 years ago.
Economic success. If you go to college, if you get the degree, if you go down that path, you're going to be guaranteed economic success. But really what we're seeing is that there's this huge downward mobility problem where people are putting in the money, taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars.
We clearly don't have a downward mobility problem because you're on TV. In a sane and a fair world, this woman would be digging potatoes out of the ground with her hands, and she wouldn't even know what a light bulb is. That's the reality. So no, I don't want to hear this downward mobility. It's not working.
Student loans. I have $500,000 in student loan debt personally, and not seeing that translate into actual
$500,000 of student loan debt. That's a lot. Like, just for context. So I have a friend, he's actually like an engineer at a car factory, makes incredibly great money. He's got a beautiful wife. I was at his wedding, have a kid together. Everything's totally great now. But this guy, he went to UT Austin, okay? And if you know anything about schools, UT Austin isn't Yale, right? In terms of or Berkeley, right? In terms of like how much it costs, but it's a lot of money. And he lived on campus. He got a degree in theoretical physics. This got him a theoretical job. So then he had to get a second degree in engineering, a real job, right? A real degree. And so then he went and he got his second degree. And this is what he's doing now. Brilliant guy, honestly. He was like, I would say like we were, he was like 3.8, 4.0 student in high school. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And so he only had like $100K in student loan debt. And this is a guy who pursued 2 4-year degrees. 2 4-year degrees to completion. And I think he even got a master's degree in engineering. And he only had 100K. So what does 500K mean? That was a long time ago? All right, double it. Double it. Yeah, you're right. That's fair. It's like 10 years ago.
Actual economic success, because our society, the scales are so tipped in one direction to benefit the rich and the wealthy.
DSA
like you
also wants to get rid of the border. Is that right?
What we talk about is an immigration system that is actually fair for people across the globe, and recognizing the...
Why would you want to... If it's fair for people across the globe, then shouldn't the taxes be fair for... You know what? I like this idea. We need to be getting our jizya tax from Madagascar. Because if they want to come into America and they want it to be fair for them, it's only fair for me to be able to get their money too. Like, we should be taxing Africa. If Somalians want to come to America, we need to be taxing Somalia.
Reality that a lot of immigration is driven by conditions that the U.S. has helped to propagate across the globe. So
this is true. So the reason why Africa is a shithole is because of America. That's right. See, before America and Britain was founded, that's where obviously Wakanda came from. And they had Wakanda, they were flying cars, they had, like super, exo scoots and everything. Everything was fine. And then Britain came and they just ruined everything. That's what happened. And and Israel also ruined it.
We don't talk, it's, similar to...
There were no wars in the Middle East before 1948. Then Israel gets formed, and now everybody's having problems. But before that, everybody just got along. It was totally fine. There was the Jews.
Would there be border security? You get rid of ICE. We know that.
Yeah,
you get
absolutely.
Would there be any other agency to take their place that would secure the border or enforce border control?
I guess I don't really understand why we kind of constantly get pinned on these particular questions
because they're stupid. And also, like, so if you don't want border control, you should also want to get rid of the sex offender registry. Because the entire premise of the sex offender registry is to make people aware of and to hold people accountable that could be dangerous to the public. But if you don't know who the people you're living around even are, you effectively could have a sex criminal living next door to your, 14-year-old daughter. Do you want to have that happen? No, of course not. So if you're okay with people not knowing who they're living next to and what that person's, criminal history is, then you should logically also want to get rid of the sex offender registry. Which, by the way, I think we should have the offender registry, and I also think that we should have borders. But I feel like this is a both or neither situation. I bet she locks her front door in her house, too. Yeah. She lives in a gated community. Of course.
The immediate reality of the situation is that immigration enforcement is absolutely...
Oh, sorry. I never got a chance to finish my thought about what I was talking about with student loan debt. A lot of the DSA platform is a bunch of millennials with infinity student loan debt that are trying to get revenge on the system because it caused them to think that they would become a billionaire by getting a degree in gender studies. So you have these people that are effectively given, and I think that there's a degree. It's another 20%. It's another 20% true thing. Actually, I think it's 40% true. Is that children are conditioned, and I would use the term groomed, into believing that if you don't go to college as an adult, you just didn't really make it, right? You didn't make the cut. You weren't good enough. Like, how many of you guys went to school in like America or maybe Europe, but maybe mostly America, and you got the inclination whenever you were in middle and high school that if you don't make it into college, you kind of you miss the boat, right? Me. So a lot of these kids are groomed into this ideology. They're told this by, and by the way, some teacher, Miss English is sitting here telling you about, oh yeah, well, you don't want to be a garbage man. You don't want to do that. Meanwhile, the sanitation worker works 3 days a week. He's making $80,000 a year. She's working 6 days a week. She's on call constantly from parents that are blaming her because their kid can't spell their first fucking name, and she's making half the money. So, yeah, actually, if you actually had the salary, maybe you do want to be a garbage man. Yeah, and she's paying for her own supplies. So, 80K where? Probably New York. I'd say San Francisco. A lot of places in California. Austin, potentially. I'm not sure. It depends on how much we work. But, yeah, sanitation workers make a good amount of money in a lot of actual real cities. Especially if you've been there for a while. Yeah, like, bro, like, it's not 2005 anymore. Like, yeah, like, that's just really the way it is. Like, you put some respect on a garbage man, right? You do. Like, they're making money. And I gotta get up at 4 in the fucking morning, right? But, like, goddamn. But still, here's my point. Is that a whole generation has been groomed into making a Faustian pact, a deal with the devil, with the government, to be saddled with unremovable debt for theoretically the rest of their lives. And they pursued a degree in, let's say, graphic design, and their degree is now totally invalidated by AI, and they're stuck with $150,000 of debt, $70,000 of debt, with accruing interest. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Really, think about it. What are they going to do? And it's bad RNG? Yeah, it's bad RNG, but they were groomed into this. They were groomed into this by an entire system that enabled this behavior. And I think that system has some accountability for that. This is the part of where I say I agree with some of the DSA's problems. I just don't agree with their solutions. Is that fair for me to say? I agree with many of their problems. I just don't agree with the solutions.
Really out of control needs to be addressed immediately, and we know that in Los Angeles, like more than almost any other city in the country. So it's hard for me to take in good faith the questions around like, are you going to open the borders tomorrow? When the reality is we're so far from that right now, right, and that needs to be addressed.
Why don't you? And by the way, this is a person that never answered any question. Like, you can always tell when somebody wants to take advantage of you whenever they don't directly answer the questions that you ask. Like, if you go to a used car lot and you ask the salesman, has this car been in a wreck before? And he says, damn, does it go fast? Okay. I see. All right. So you had to rebuild the engine. Got it.
The reality is Donald Trump got elected because we opened up the border. That's the reality, and that's the problem.
Well, I mean, I would disagree with that.
Well, Hispanic voters, male Hispanic voters, voted in record numbers for Donald Trump.
Obviously, Hispanic voter. This is the other issue that I hear sometimes, is that, by the way, speaking of this, I found a relic. I need to use the bathroom. Here we go. Let's get one more. What is she auditioning for? A new Mad Max movie? Maybe she's a body double for the new video game made by Naughty Dog. Who the fuck wants to look at a bald chick? What the hell's wrong with you?
I think ultimately the goals of
Yeah, it's so fucking
these
quiet.
locations, not just here in East Harlem, but any borough location is to be complementary to the neighborhood.
Sorry about the volume. That's the best goes I can do.
The goals of these locations, not just here in East Harlem, but any borough location is to be complementary to the neighborhood, and really rising tides, right? We can
a rising tide. What the fuck are you talking about a rising tide by coming in there with a state-sponsored grocery store that exists in a free market that people are going to go to instead of going to the actual... Like, I mean, this, like, you know what, you know who should hire her? Walmart. Have Walmart hire this girl for PR, because that's what they say. Oh, you know what? How about data centers? That's the same thing that data centers say. What a stupid argument.
All cooperate and work together.
Jesus Christ.
Do you mind, what is the, I've heard that term from EDC officials, that these are meant to be complementary. What does that mean? What does that complementary mean in terms of policy, operations, and things like that?
Yeah, I think we're, as an agency, looking at a number of different complementary, policies.
What does complementary mean? Well, we're looking at complementary policies.
And programs, grants, incentives that can come alongside these grocery stores to support other, local independent businesses that are in the neighborhoods. We're going to continue to listen, and we're going to continue to engage, and that'll be, alongside the operator.
This is I don't know if anybody ever noticed this before. I'm sure they have. Is that one of the elements of whenever you can tell it's a Floyd deflection is whenever they start making these consensus-based emotion, empathy, generalization euphemisms. That's whenever you know that they've run out of dialogue tree. Like, the dialogue tree has now been exhausted, and they haven't thought that far. So listen to this again.
Continue to engage, and that'll be, alongside the operator as our partner. And like I said, making sure that we are complementary to the other businesses that are here in the neighborhood.
So other locations, other grocery stores can get grants from the city under this?
Something on the table. We're exploring a lot of different options and opportunities.
Nothing is specific. The reason why nothing is specific is because the answers wouldn't be beneficial. Like, they would... Telling the truth is not beneficial to them, so they don't do it.
I think, there's a whole host of levers that the EDC is able to work within to make sure that, everyone has equitable and equal access to opportunities here. It's
really funny how big of a difference there is between Mamdani and these other really NPCs. Like Mamdani, like I don't like. I want to deport Mamdani. I think he's a foreign subversive agent, and people like him should all be deported. That being said, he's very charismatic, and he's a great politician, and he's really good at talking. And I think this should be acknowledged. These people aren't. They have every negative quality that he has, but none of the positive ones. That's basically it, right? Hitler was too? Yeah. Hitler was, yeah, of course. Yeah, it just because you're charismatic and a good politician, that doesn't mean that you're a good person. There's a lot of bad people that were good politicians and good at giving speeches, okay? So it doesn't really mean a whole lot. I'm just saying it's, worth considering here. These people are so fucking ridiculous and so stupid, I don't even know what to say. A grocery owner interested in...
Great community, but there's definitely need for something like this. I'm glad that the mayor did address it, because a lot of people are struggling. I mean, with these food prices, inflation, economic uncertainty, I think the people in this area would appreciate something like this.
Would you have liked it if this opened up while you were running your supermarket here in East Harlem?
Candidly, I wouldn't. I mean, it's just going to bite out a little more of a market share. And stores are already struggling during this economic period. So as a retailer, no. As a New Yorker who sees the everyday struggle, I do.
It's crazy. This is the problem.